The views and opinions expressed on this station do not reflect the owners, management, staff, clients, or partners. Medical House presents Bermuda's most viewed and listened to talk show. The Daily Hour starts now.
It's Tuesday, the 29th day of September. Happy birthday to my wife. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by House and Linda. Jamal Hartman here, along with Carla Zool and Sherilyn Pringle. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you haven't already, share the link, start a watch party, just get the conversation out there to your network. We're going to have a good show today. Unfortunate news overnight we'll discuss, and then we'll also discuss the forum that was put on last night with the three political leaders. The Daily Players what is it today? It's the history, right? Okay. Remember when? Look, I'm just gonna get behind Carla because I mean she's rolling lately. So yeah, she's the captain of the team over the last few days. So I'm sure that she's got whatever question Shara's gonna try to jack us with. I'm pretty sure she has it covered. But wow, what a way to wake up and what news to wake up to. Obviously, we were planning on just jumping right into the pre-election forum last night, but we just have to. It's our responsibility, not necessarily our responsibility, but we've made it our responsibility to use this show to have uncomfortable conversations. And though we won't speak of details because we don't necessarily know the details of what's happened, this is it's always sad, it's always tragic. And I'll say this much: when we do Sons of Paradise, when we began this show, the idea was so that we could improve the livelihood of the people within our community. There's an election this week, and one of the things that you keep hearing about is the economy. Another thing, healthcare. And you don't see crime mentioned as much. Basically, it probably seems because nothing has happened, right? But in my opinion, this will always be an issue until one, all the murders are solved, two, all the guns are off the streets, and three, we have true peace and economic prosperity in Bermuda, which I don't believe we have. So on that note, condolences to the family, friends, and the country and community as a whole. And my hope is that this is the last one we have to actually discuss. All righty. So I'm sure Carla will be sharing more of that in her newscast, so I don't want to talk too much of it. But another thing I want to also mention is that this is our 100th episode. And that even surprised me because, I mean,
that came fast. That came really fast.
Yeah. I mean, if I was running it, I probably would have been winded after 20. Props to everyone involved for getting us to this point, and long may we go another 500, but 100 episodes down. And I just hope that this show has been able to do what our community needs, right? I hope that we've been able to solve some of the problems that our community has and bring them an everyday talk show. I mean, it's not easy waking up early every morning to do this, believe it. I do love to talk, as do my colleagues, but finding things to talk about, it's not, well, election season, they just give you so much, but
Well, that was a surprise, right? That filled our September, October calendar really good.
yeah.
And we have the election in the US in November. So we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Don't forget the debate is tonight too.
Between there's
Biden and
Biden and Trump. Yeah.
the taxpayer dodger and the other guy. Yeah. That's quite a spectacle. I mean, I just want to look. I think elections, and we'll talk about that once we get to the Daily Focus. We'll definitely talk about the pre-election from last night. But I want people, when we first began this show, right? We did not discuss politics for about the first 2-3 months. We did have the tourism minister, Zandy Silva, was the first one to come on to discuss tourism at that time. And we tried to avoid it because we felt Bermudians needed to have a bigger conversation. We really wanted to find, like, I think the episode with Zach Moniz from Lindos was the episode that really did it for me, was when I got a call from someone in New York that I didn't know was tuned in. And they said, you know what? The way he explained grocery pricing actually helped me understand the way pricing works in Bermuda.
Right.
Like, I get it. Like, the angle was going about paying $16 for grapes in Bermuda for some people. The joke behind that is that when my wife brought her parents to Bermuda for the first time, they wanted to do grocery shopping, and they went to buy some grapes, and they were $16. So quite the reality check. Quite the reality check. But,
and they wonder why we take one out of the bag and taste it first, right?
Don't tell me I'm the only one that went away to college and did that and almost got in trouble.
Really?
You grow up in Bermuda, you go around, you taste the grape before you buy them, right?
Yeah. Why you can't pay $16 for a bag of grapes without tasting them first?
Well, kids, don't try this outside of your community, your culture, or your country, because it's stealing. It's stealing. It's stealing. All right.
But you can't do that in the UK, though. You know why? They come in plastic containers with the vacuum seal on it. So what you get is what you get, unless you go to the green grocer, which is the little mom and pop shop, and then you can do it that way. But in the big grocery stores, they come sealed, so you ain't trying nothing.
See, that just interrupting at that point. I mean, look, Leslie said I did it all the time. See, Leslie, don't prick on yourself. We don't know who's watching, right? They'd be like, yes, I remember her in the South Shore in Boston. That's the one that always came in and used to pick the no, we got her. No,
I bought a watermelon the other day, and I swear I wish I had been able to taste it first, because it's horrible. It was horrible. I get my money back.
Sorry, don't take your machete to Marketplace or Linda's or wherever you shop. Don't be taking the machete, chopping up the watermelon, tasting it.
Put a little knife and do a little carve out.
Don't embarrass us like that. Don't do that. I mean, look. I'll send you. I'll put up half of your bill money. Carla will send you some cigarettes while you're up in yourself. We'll make sure you're comfortable.
The butcher shop will cut it, but this time I did not ask for it to be cut, and I wished I had. It. It was so red, and it looked like it would be delicious, but it was like,
You know, that's the way that God intended watermelons to be, right?
Exactly, right, Carla? I'm like, you see me? I'm like, ugh.
What's the big deal? They're gross anyway.
Oh, I forgot you two don't like them.
Yeah, I'm not.
Gosh.
I kill the stereotypes. Trust me, I'm not that guy. But yeah, 100 episodes down. Thank you all. Honestly, thank you, because without you supporting us and giving us this, this love, we really probably wouldn't have any reason to get up and do it. So we really appreciate you giving us a chance to have these important conversations, and even people who have come on as guests. Like, trust me, you have done us a favor in giving us the opportunity to bring you to Bermuda in another way. And that said, I mean, even election night coverage, being able to do that for you, being able to convince Teo, who literally just stays off the grid these days, to come and do it with us. Really excited about that. So thank you to everyone. Continue. We'll do what we can to continue. If you have any feedback for us, you want us to do stuff or anything that we can do better, feel free to reach out. The email is engage@thedailyhour.com. If you want to see less of my face and more Carla and Sherry, please don't hesitate to even say that. I'm okay with it, you know. I'm not a politician.
Nope. You're not going nowhere. Nope.
No, well, you know, I mean, hey. Well, look, so it's my wife's birthday today, right, folks? So thinking, you know, we had a little birthday dinner on Saturday, went to a nice seafood joint in Boca Raton. Boca Raton is in Florida, by the way, sorry. And man, I had this branzino, this fried fish. When I say, because I'm like you all. Now, notice I said you all. I'm like you all. And you all Bermudians are fish snobs, you're beach snobs. You know, that's all you all are. So I don't just eat any fish. But this fried branzino, folks, it's not on the level. It's not on the level of what's Country Kitchen. It's not. But it's the
I know where that is.
Oh yes. Let's not forget on episode number 60, Carla mentioned that, right? She didn't know what Country Kitchen was. But I say that to say I was so thankful. I'm like, my wife needs to have a birthday at least once a month so we can enjoy one of these meals, because they ain't cheap to get good fish like that, right? And it was a superb dinner. I was glad that we were able to do it. And so now I'm looking for an excuse to take her to lunch to get some more seafood today, because might start a little cleanse or something next month. So I'm trying to get it all out of the way now. But really nice dinner on Saturday at this fish place. If I knew the name, I would actually say it, but I can't even remember the name. And that's another problem I have, actually, because people would say, well, where did you go and eat? And I never remember the name of anything. And because we don't share things on social media like we used to, I can't even go back on social media to say, oh, it was this place. So that's her department. She's got to remember that. But anyway, wish my wife a very happy birthday. I'm sure.
Happy birthday, Nikki.
Yeah,
Happy birthday, Nikki. A fine Libra lady.
Oh, that's what you all are in. I learned that on this show on episode number 90 or something like that, folks.
How do you remember this stuff, Jamal? I can't even remember episode like 7, and you're like number 19, number this. How do you remember this stuff?
I don't. It's honest. It's me. But thanks for calling me out, right? Thanks for calling me out. Don't forget, this is huge. Do not forget that you can now watch the Daily Hour live on TV, channel 82 on One Communications. So if you have one, look at us on channel 82. Thanks again to Crimson Media, Lamone, and everyone for making that happen. And keep in mind, folks, this is all about collaboration. And I spoke about it yesterday when I spoke with Carla and Shari and Jackie, when I spoke about that. This is all about collaboration, coming together and you know, different ideas. I mean, I remember the first name when I reached out, and Shari, I haven't even spoken about this. When I had asked Shari originally, probably in January, about a morning show name, I had said First Chet. Remember that? It was First something. I want to say First Chet. And that's what we were going to go with. And then when we decided to go do a different show with Carla, and then Carla obviously do it late at night because she claimed she was sleeping. That's the excuse.
Wait a minute. Can we just clear this up? Because you keep telling this story, okay?
What, you claim you were sleeping?
Real quick, I just said if it was a nighttime show, then when would I have time for social activities? Because I'm in the UK. So that's how it came to the morning. Social activities, and we'll leave it at that.
So I'm not allowed to. So the audience is not allowed to understand what social activities are?
Whatever happens during the full 100 stays in the full 100, okay?
We're going to leave it at that. This is a family show, folks. This is a family show. But honestly, coming up with the name, the Daily Hour, the intro music, you know, one of the things I wanted to do with all three, including my partners and the advisory board, is give everyone, like we're trying to give you all, which is why we take your questions and engage you in all of this, is give you a sense of ownership. Like, this is your show. This is it's all of us. So I'm glad that we were able to bring it to fruition. Thank you so much for your continued support. Like I said, once this election's over, obviously, hopefully we won't have to discuss as much as the guys over this side in the US, but we are focusing on mental health next week. We have various guests from childhood to school age to adult. We'll have experts on all week. And mental health is something that so many people have asked us to discuss. So I'm glad that we can be a part of that. That said, thanks again. 100 episodes. Let's go through a few more. This John says happy 100 TDH. And you got my feedback, Jamel. Thanks for making the show accessible. Actually, I'm going to share his feedback with you guys as well. But he did. And thank you for what you do. Awesomeness last night, again, from the team that put on the forum. Dawn says, Branzino in Birmingham, Blue Restaurant. Blue was one of my favorites. I think that was one of the first restaurants I took my wife to. I could be wrong, but not within my pay grade anymore. Good morning to the agent. Silly season. Any views on the Learn 800,000 OBA members claim they have no knowledge? We've spoken quite a bit about the 800,000. Yeah, we had 800,000 questions yesterday for the
information
as well. All right, so we have to go to the news. We have to go to the news break. When we come back, folks, we will be discussing last night's pre-election forum. Again, before we break off to the news, condolences to the family who lost a family member due to what's being reported as a violent act. So, Carla, it's all you.
A 31-year-old woman has become Bermuda's latest victim of gun violence after she was shot at a residence on Sunset Pass in Pembroke during the early hours of this morning. Officers attended the scene and found that she had sustained multiple gunshot wounds and was lying outside the residence. The officers performed CPR on the victim until EMTs arrived and transported her via ambulance to the King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, where she subsequently succumbed to her injuries. The matter is now being treated as a murder investigation. Anyone with information on this incident, no matter how insignificant you think it may be, is urged to contact the main police number on 295-0011 or the independent and confidential Crime Stoppers number 800-8477. This incident marks the second shooting death and the third murder for the year 2020. Firefighters and emergency medical technicians feared that people could die because of total disregard shown by the last Progressive Labour Party administration, it was recently claimed. A source close to Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service employees told the Royal Gazette, "The facts are that expired equipment, broken vehicles, and mental burnout will eventually catch up and lives will be lost. Firefighters are of the opinion that government has gambled with their safety for years, which means that they've been gambling with the lives of Bermudians by extension." But Minister Renee Mean, the Minister of National Security, insisted that she had the utmost respect for Bermuda Fire and Rescue staff and that funds allocated to the service meant crews could respond to emergencies without compromising their safety. Meanwhile, Metro News reporting, the Queen is reportedly furious after her staff refused to stay in with her in her COVID bubble over Christmas. Around 20 Royal household employees had been asked to remain on the monarch's estate in Sandringham to support her, Prince Philip, and other members of the royal family during the festive period. But the group are reportedly fighting against it because they are unwilling to self-isolate from their families for 4 weeks and not be able to see them. This means the Queen could be forced to spend Christmas at Windsor Castle for the first time in 33 years. September 29th is World Heart Day, and it is part of an international campaign to spread awareness about heart disease and stroke prevention. This is the perfect day to quit smoking, get exercising, and start eating healthy, all in the name of keeping your heart in good working order and improving the health and well-being of people all over the world. Turning to weather, Bermuda's high today will be 83, it will be 64 in Atlanta, Georgia, and 60 in London. And on a programming note, don't forget to tune in with us on Thursday, October 1st, as we will be giving you live election coverage, starting pre-election at 7 p.m. and then full election coverage from 8 p.m. on all of our social media platforms. And don't forget to tune in to the full100.com tonight for nighttime jams featuring some of your favorite romantic classics. That's your Daily Hour news break.
Thank you for that, Carla. And I want to touch on this before we go pay some bills and come back with the daily focus conversation. As I mentioned earlier, it's been a horrible year for women on this island. First with Chevelle, then the woman attacked with a machete, followed by the recent rape, and now this murder. Hurts my heart. And I think that's an important comment to share because, especially even look at Sons of Paradise, it's been a focus on Black men who have been murdered and lost. And I think, let's just be honest, Chevelle is a situation that we cannot let go away. And now, it was a norm when you heard that someone was gunned down, that it was a Black male. This takes it to another level. So very concerned for this situation. And like I was the others, but this is definitely different, taking it to another level. On that note, let's go pay some bills. We'll be right back, and we'll be discussing the pre-election forum that was put on last night by the great folks, Bermeems, Keen, the Bermuda Youth Connect. Mr. Rick Richardson was there as well. So stay with us.
Good day, Medical House Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products.
Anything that we ask them to do, they come through.
These same professional quality products are available to you for home healthcare.
If we can use them, we definitely do so.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It also has restaurant uniforms that stand up to even the toughest shifts. If you're on your feet all day, Medical House has comfortable and stylish shoes that are also durable and easy to clean. Everyone needs some help cleaning up, and Medical House has got it. Leading-edge janitorial, facility, and maintenance supplies are all here. Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
This month, we're featuring Crunchmaster gluten-free crackers, a hearty alternative to the mainstream fare. The people behind Crunchmaster preserve the inherent qualities of the traditional cracker by incorporating the time-honored Japanese culinary discipline known as utsuyaki, an especially light and dry method of baking, perfect for achieving the goal of authentic flavor and, above all, crunchiness. Try Crunchmaster gluten-free multi-seed and multi-grain crackers in a wide range of tantalizing flavors. Lingo's, why go anyplace else?
Tune in to the Full 100 Radio every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams, only on your station for conversations and entertainment. The Full 100 Radio. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices.
All right, welcome back to the Daily Hour. Don't forget, we are now on channel 82 on 1 in Bermuda. Also, our Facebook channels, the Full 100 and the Daily Hour. YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube stations, the Full 100 Radio and the Daily Hour, and our Twitter handle and Twitch handles on the Daily Hour as well. Our websites, thedailyhour.com and the Full 100 Radio. So let's get to the conversation. Last night, they had a pre-election forum, and I was just probably more disturbed. I'm gonna talk about what I was really disturbed by, and it had nothing to do with the candidates. Let me be very clear. As I stated on my personal Facebook page, I'm concerned for Bermuda because people refuse to listen to each candidate without allowing their bias to cloud their judgment. If we actually, we are an indoctrinated group of people, and that's not healthy. It's not healthy. What I witnessed, look, Craig Cannon pronounces Bermuda, Bermuda. I don't care how he pronounces Bermuda. Neither do I care where David Burt's mother was born, nor do I care that Mark Bean, in some people's opinion, right, mentioned that VET thing. That doesn't bother me. What I care about is who is more interested in doing what's best to move Bermuda forward.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was reading the comments, though some entertaining, I was legit like, people are really, you wouldn't even say, you know what, that made sense. Maybe I'm going to reach out to my MP in the party I support and say, why don't we work with him on that? It was ridiculous. And yeah, I actually am very concerned for Bermuda. And before you jump in, let me just finish that, because I said on my post, I agree with Mr. Cannonier on less MPs and smaller cabinet. I agree. I think many would agree. And let me tell you why I agree. Even the premier, I'm sure, would admit there's a lot of dead weight and baggage in that there's 25 or 36, if you want to count all, that the PLP has. So some people may say, well, Cannonier is saying that because he could only fill 31. At the end of the day, I'm interested in quality, not quantity. And Bermuda, Dr. Brown said it last week. He did mention, a lack of depth, right?
Right, he did.
So if we're lacking depth, why do we have 36 just for the sake of 36? There's too many people there, in my opinion, and I think it needs to be smaller. So yes, I agree with Mr. Cannonier on less MPs and a smaller cabinet. And I'm sure any hardworking person, elected official, would probably agree as well, unless it's not in their political interest. The next part I said is I agree with Bean on smaller government and putting Bermudians and our culture at the front of tourism. This is an issue every government's had. But because we feel Mark Bean's attacking and personal, we're tuning him out. Really? And then I agree with Bert on creating a digital bank run by Bermudians. Something that I've been very consistent about, folks, very consistent, is whenever I see, whether it's Belco or the banks or reinsurance companies laying off a bunch of people, I'm always inspired and encouraged to believe that these people will take all these years of experience and start their own thing. I don't see it as a bad thing. So it puzzles me as to how people, and I'm not going to call specific names, but they know who they are. And if you were looking at the comments, you know who they are legit dismissing people because they don't align with your politics. Is it about your politics, or is it about what's best for the country?
Yeah, it was astonishing, and I totally agreed with your comment. I kind of wanted to turn the comments off or just look away from them, but you kind of kept getting pulled back to them. I agree with all your points. I found it I liked the coalition government idea, which would also should make the government smaller. But I think witnessing what people were doing during the conversation, they're not ready for it either. So their leader's not ready, doesn't want to entertain it. They're not going to entertain it based on some of their commentary. But I really enjoyed the forum. I enjoyed that. I subscribe to that suggestion. I did like the explanation Mark gave on pay cuts. I thought that was a good
interject there, because again, this is another thing where people continue to take Mark Bean's words and run with them, right? Because when he actually had that, people were like, oh, so another 5% on top of my 10. It was not even written that way.
Yeah, he said that.
There were a few people being extremely disingenuous, right? Again, I'm not calling names, but they were being extremely disingenuous in trying to make it seem like Mark Bean was going to cut another 5%. And that's unfair, and it's unfortunate. What he specifically was saying, right, is that he was interested in cutting the pay 40% for the government, like premier and them, right? And then they would take the 5%. And so basically they'll reverse it. Instead of taking a 10%, you got 5% cut. But people were being dishonest, and that, honestly, man, I'm not mad for politics.
I know. Clarifying also that the burden is on the private sector, not the public, because a lot of people keep saying that, woe is me, civil servants, and this, that, and the other. And I was really appreciative that he actually came out and made people realize that without the private sector, we can't be all a public sector. It just wouldn't work that way. And the burden is actually on the private sector, and we have to respect that.
Yeah, I watched it because I'm in the UK. I watched it this morning as I was in transit, so I didn't even read the comments. But I really appreciated Mark Bean. When I listened to him, I looked at all three, I listened to all three. I was a bit disappointed in Mr. Cannonier because he continuously, and I don't know if it's a subconscious thing, but he's always referring to what the PLP did or the PLP didn't do. And I think that and I'm not negating what he's saying, but I think these are opportunities where he could have further expounded on what the OBA would do. And I think that defense of, well, Jamal did it, so, or Sherry did it, so just becomes tiresome. And, but even with the whole St. David's thing, I was just like, this is just not the time for this. And then for him to say he lived, he's from St. David, so it almost seems self-serving. I don't know. But I did take notes, and there were some things that stood out with Mr. Bean. I wrote down a quote he said about education: too much government interference in education. And I thought, you know what? Because working in education for many years, every time it's a new party, literally in one day, everything shifts. Imagine what that feels like as an educator, as a student. So I'm hoping that taking the political part out of education will eventually happen. When? Don't know, but let's hope.
But I guess my question with education, and perfect transition to education, because all of them are basically speaking about taking the politics out of education. The PLP and the OBA both mentioned authorities in there. And again, I've already made it known how I feel about an authority. I guess my question is this here. If the funding comes from government and people are to be held accountable, how do you take government out of education? No, they say that they're going to put the professionals in charge, right? I'm all for independence if it's in the best interest of what the overall goal is, which is a better education system. But what is a better education system? Because I wanted to touch on that Sunday night. Education is not about better teachers, or it's about, curriculum. I see everything, and I'm all in favor of specialized schools and removing the middle schools. But what I keep seeing missing in everyone's, it might have been in Mark's, I'm not sure, but where's the Afrocentric education? I have not seen any mention of that. Because if we're changing a system and literally just we're gonna have a school for the arts, schools for the science, it's still a colonial system. It's still not built and made for, let's just be honest, Black children to succeed necessarily.
And that's why I had an issue with Mr. Cannoneer talking about putting the focus on early childhood education, because as a parent of 3, and I have 3 totally different learners, okay? Yes, I feel in one case, one of my children was let down by early education. However, where are we seeing the social ills? Where are we seeing the displacement? We're seeing it at the other end of childhood. So for me as a parent, I would like to see more focus on how do we encourage our children when they may not be on the academic track, as opposed to childhood education. Because you could have the greatest childhood education, but when you get up to your last years and you don't want to be a doctor, accountant, a lawyer, whatever, what have you, what happens next? So I would have liked to see more emphasis on that side of things.
If I'm not mistaken, the premier's response to education last night was pretty much of what they invested into it. And it almost makes me feel like, I don't want to use a crazy analogy, but investment doesn't necessarily solve the problem without a proper plan, I get what he's saying. It's like, well, our government gave this to the people in charge to get done. It takes more than investment. Nikisha says it was mentioned at FDM, so
it was.
I figured it would be. But I definitely saw the authority mentioned in the other 2. Let's transition away from education, because there was another thing that I think I agreed with and many agreed with. Now, I was in favor of the sugar tax when the PLP were pushing for it, right? And the reason was because I was reading how it's worked out in other places, like cities like Philadelphia, for instance. And, it done really well there from what I remember reading. But outside of it being another tax, I don't have enough knowledge to know how it's actually improved the well-being of Bermudians. So those are the questions that I would like to sit down and ask the health minister. How has the sugar tax improved the livelihood of Bermudians, outside of making them,
pay more
rich? right? So I want to know that before I go on and just say, let's repeal it. Because right now, without having that information, I am in 100% agreement. And I think that's where the FDM come in, because, people ran with this comment about Mark Bean saying that don't wear masks and whatnot and missed the overall point. And it's something that we've spoken about a lot on this show with the health experts that have come on. We've spoken from the Bosch de Noya on diabetes to Health Council breath weight. Almost every person we've had on, we focused on what we can do, how we can eat better, how we can exercise, what we can do to build healthier immune systems so that when these viruses and diseases take off, we're in a better place and better position for our bodies to reject them. That's what I thought Mark Bean was saying. We cannot be reckless. Bermuda's too small to have nasty politics like what we've seen.
I think that the sugar tax, Jamal, also I don't disagree with the repeal. I just think that it's so strange that we put a sugar tax on, but we don't do something on the other side to avoid some of these things. There is no reason why someone should be bringing something in that has 50 something grams of sugar in it. You know what? If it's going to hit the bottom line of several companies, then so be it. But there are certain products that just should not come onto an island that has such a high propensity to diabetes. So even though I live with diabetes, and the sugar tax, the way it affects me is because prices have gone up, really. But I do not reach for a chocolate bar. I do not reach for a bottle of Coke or anything like that. I already don't do that. So the sugar tax affects me in a different way.
But see,
go ahead, Carl.
As someone living with sugar tax and they try to be rigid, if I go to a restaurant, I personally don't like low sugar drinks. I would rather drink water than a low sugar whatever. So I'll just pay the extra 12p and have the drink. It does not matter. I had a lesson the other day with buying some cotton candy, and Naeem meant to buy 3, my youngest, and they said, no, you can't. You can only get 2 because of the sugar content. But then I'll use cigarettes. Look how expensive they've become. So I don't know if even the big discussion, if it's going to change behaviors, period, this sugar tax or any of these sin tax, because people still do.
Well, you mentioned cigarettes. That's a great example, because growing up, you used to see cigarette ads everywhere. You open a magazine, you saw a cigarette ad, big ad right there. You saw them on TV. And over time, you saw less and less. And then laws were made to outlaw smoking in public establishments. And you've probably seen a decline in the amount of people smoking cigarettes. Is the approach for sugar the same as it was for cigarettes? Are we going to, if they stopped people advertising such sugary things? Again, I think as people are saying in comments, and we'll get to some of the comments, it was about change behavior, I thought, not a tax thing. Let's go to some comments. Tamara Richardson says taxes don't change behavior. Sin taxes have never been successful at changing people's sins. Again, education would be a better way to improve outcomes. Without education, it's pointless, right? Bobby Singh, Carla.
The sugar tax was supposed to be used for programs to educate people on the negative impacts of sugar and inject a healthier solution. So far, I've seen nothing of the sort. If I'm missing something, please inform me.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that Mr. Cannonier did point out last night, to say, where is the proof that the monies raised from the sugar tax are being used to educate?
And that's what I asked before we started saying this. Like, I mean, we need more information before we can make an honest decision of whether it's been a success or not. But based on what we know, it's just been a tax grab. James Howard says the education part is lacking, not consistent. Jamaica Shari.
People have choice on what they buy and eat. Lower prices on healthy food, fruits and veg, and it gives an incentive to eat healthy.
And Bergen Spencer says the problem with the sugar tax is the shops control their prices, so they spread the sugar tax across all items. Dishwashing sponge costs more due to sugar tax. This should not be. We definitely heard this. But it's interesting to see what they're honing on. I just want to also, if I haven't already, or if we haven't, give props again to everyone who put last night on. It was phenomenal. Anyone that knows what it takes to put on a live show knows that it's not easy. So to Bermeems, to Bermuda Youth Connect, BBC, everyone who was involved in getting it done. I know that people were not happy that it wasn't a debate, but it's still something. It's still a step. And I really appreciate those guys driving this forward. A debate needs to happen. Seriously, I'm not gonna say that it doesn't, but this was a step, and I think to me, I learned a lot from last night. I learned who is comfortable speaking on the spot. I learned who needs preparation, right? And you may say, well, that's not a big thing. Well, truth be told, when speaking from your heart, the honesty just flows.
You don't need preparation.
The connection with the people just flows, right? And that's not to take anything away from those who read from stuff. It's more or less some people just have so many things jammed that they want to stay in line with whatever their main points are.
After watching it this morning, I'm sorry, Sherry. After watching it this morning, it actually, for me, I was proud to see there was some sort of compromise. So I was so happy when I actually just saw the announcement yesterday. I was so happy to see that it was happening. However, after watching it, it makes me want to see a debate even more. So I'm hoping that this Bermuda Youth Connect can put some more pressure, hopefully, and let's see a debate. But I mean, well, we can. It's too late now, but that would be my dream. I forgot it's 2 days away, but that would be my dream. But kudos to them, to everyone that it was who was involved in putting it on.
It was good, and you know what, Mark? Last 5 minutes were fire, but the feed went out, and I caught it because I had the TV on. But if you have an opportunity to actually catch this, he is probably the only leader that has really spoken on the LGBTQ issue, and knowing what Mark's personal stance is based on what is going to do as a party and how he spoke about it. It was pure fire, and I really appreciated that, and that they're looking to they're asking, and people should be asking their government to don't go to the Privy Council. That money can be better spent elsewhere. It's really, what point are you proving? And if you lose,
I definitely did not get the last 5 minutes. I think we had technical difficulties, but hopefully Bermuda Broadcasting or someone, they can show that last 5 minutes, because I have seen people talking about it was really, really good. But I also want to say, as we didn't see the debate and they were able to put something on. Mm-hmm. This is my hope for Bermuda and Bermudians. And I've said it since 2007 election. When the election is over, you still have a job to do. Mm-hmm. And that's hold the elected officials, whether you voted for them or not, accountable. And what Bermuda Youth Connect, they're not here just because there's an election. They can still hold events and forums, right? They can still do that when an election's not happening. They can say, you know what? Let's get the Minister of Tourism and the Shadow Minister of Tourism to have a round table. Those are the kind of things that they can still do. So I'm going to definitely support them in their endeavors. Bermeems, even BBC, if they're doing it, I am fully behind this, because this is not something, our lives should not have to work in cycles of elections.
Well, wouldn't that even cut back on the need to canvass if you're doing stuff like this on a regular basis? And when an election is called, all you have to do is recall what you've heard, what you've seen. And this canvassing thing obviously is, I think this election is going to prove that maybe it's not as necessary as some people think it is, because, but we'll have to see from the outcomes.
Indeed.
And with technology, it will be so easy anyway, because this very moment literally could be a young person and each of the candidates or each of the ministers in a video call, do it live.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Indeed. I want to ask the audience something. I want to ask the audience real quickly. This happens in the US, right? After a debate. Who do you believe gained more points last night of the three political leaders? Who do you think helped their party most? I want to hear from you, the audience, on what you think. What do you believe? Who you think came out on top to help their party more after last night? Let us know. What are your thoughts, Sherry?
I think the FDM came out. I could listen to Mark all day. His tone. We had 3 distinctively Black leaders with 3 different types of deliveries, and I just felt that his tone and his explanations and for every question was just so. If everybody in cabinet was like him, it would be. I think Bermuda would be so mellow and chill.
What are your thoughts, Carla?
I always tell you we share the same brain, because that was going to be my comment next, Jamal, was I felt that Mark Bean, I'm a communications person, so delivery for me was everything. He was natural. If he wasn't pretentious, and I think it was a great opportunity for him to connect with the people. So I say Mark Bean.
I want to say it's always an advantage to go last. It really is. I mean, when you look at shows like American Idol, things like that, where people are voting, it's always an advantage to go last because people remember mostly who went last. I think that Mark Bean could have went first and still come out on top.
Yeah.
And
what was the order? Because I didn't watch it live. So what was the order? Premier, opposition, FDM?
Correct.
Okay.
And I think Mark Bean spoke like he had nothing to lose. He spoke as if I have no problem sharing my heart with you. And I have no problem going against my personal beliefs for the betterment of Bermuda. Joe Biden, who everyone knows I've never really been a fan of, said something leading up to the 2012 election, I believe. And he spoke about the marriage issue in the US at the time. And he said that I cannot allow my personal beliefs as I think he was a practicing Catholic, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. He said, I cannot let my personal beliefs or religious beliefs dictate for me what's in the best interest of others when I'm voted to do a job for them. And I think that's the approach that Mark Bean has taken. I would definitely say, I think we're all in agreement that if any party gained something last night, it would be the FDM. I would definitely agree. And it looks like most people in the audience agree as well, that it was Mark Bean. We have Elizabeth, Mark Bean, Karen, Mark Bean, Renee, Mark Bean, very honest in his delivery. Tamara, Mark Bean, which is possibly why there's such a pushback against the debate. It's all about the swing vote right now. Mark Neal, Kathy Bromby, Mark Bean, Unico, Mark Bean, FDM PLP, Mark Bean. I think, look, we get it. Mark Bean, the winner of last night. Now, again, 2 days until we're there. No, we actually have to speak about the other side now. Who do we feel had missed an opportunity last night out of the candidates? Obviously, it's out of the 2, Cannonier or Burt. Who do you feel missed an opportunity to really connect their message with the people?
I feel OBA. I feel Mr. Cannonier did. Again, with my communications hat on, the PR side, I did see a couple of comments where people were saying he comes across as angry. Maybe he needs some training because people hear in different ways. And so I just feel he took away from his effectiveness by coming across like that. That may not be necessarily how he felt. And again, I feel that he could have said more about what the OBA intends to do as opposed to a reaction to what the PLP has or hasn't done. The OBA has taken a lot of criticism for the last few weeks, and this could have been a time to at least put some of that to rest. And I think it only made it worse.
Sherry.
I'm gonna agree with Carla. I think if people are not seeing the writing on the wall, there needs to be a different leader. No matter what Craig does, people are not going to feel drawn to him in any way, shape, or form. And I think it's actually time for someone else to be there that that doesn't carry that baggage. So I think an opportunity is always lost as long as his face is there at the front. I don't think we need a white face. I think one of the young progressive members of the OBA would be a great opportunity.
So it looks like everyone agrees. Ken in there, he was all over the place. Craig, let's retire Craig. It's best for everyone. Yeah, it looks like everyone. Craig done what he usually does. He danced and pranced, did not answer questions. Brett needed harder questions. Should have been asked the same questions. Yeah, I did see some people saying why they weren't asked the same questions. But it seems like Craig came out the loser. We have to go pay some bills, do the daily play and inspirational thought. But what I'll do is, before we jump to the ad for Bermuda College, what I want to let's just speak about the premier. Did the premier just have was it just an even night? Par. He didn't bogey. It was just a par. He didn't do anything. I mean, I'll give my opinion first on the premier. I think it was as safe as he could have won it. He didn't lose anything, in my opinion, but he certainly did not gain anything. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, I think Dr. Brown said it, why do it debate if you don't feel it's going to benefit you, right? I disagree with him. I'm not doing it, but I think the premier played his hand well, got what he wanted, and I don't think that it will impact him badly. That's my personal opinion, Carla.
I concur. It was he just sailed. He just chilled.
Correct.
He didn't resonate for me.
Yeah, I agree with you both. I mean, what you saw with David is what you get. I'm sorry, the premier. What you saw with the premier is what you get all the time. So it was nothing different.
Right. I think Charles says it here. The PLP had the most to lose and don't think they lost much support. If any, the OBA is on life support. Bobby saying premier was status quo. This is exactly. He just did his thing. Yeah. That was prime premier. Nick Charles says we need in all parties a leader that has nothing to lose. Thank you. That's it right there. All right, let's go pay a bill real quickly. Let's pay a bill. We'll be right back. And we'll do the daily play. We'll also do the inspirational thought, and then let you all go off for the day. And then tomorrow it is election eve. Tomorrow we might actually bring some of you all in the studio to do this with us. But let's go pay a bill. We'll be right back and wrap it up.
Bermuda College has facilitated the success of thousands of Bermuda students since 1974. Today, we take great pride in providing quality instruction, innovative education, and unparalleled student support. Bermuda College is now seeking to extend its tradition of customized commitment by recruiting credentialed faculty who share our passion for delivering instruction that will inspire and challenge minds.
For as long as I can remember, I've had a passion for showing students how relevant mathematics is outside of the classroom. Teaching at Bermuda College has afforded me the opportunity to do just that. Using various forms of technology and ever-evolving pedagogy, I make the curriculum come alive for the students. And when they understand it, every moment of preparation was worth it.
To learn more, plan to attend one of the online information sessions. Times and webinar details are on the college website at college.bm.
Just want to say thank you to Medical House, Lindo's, Bermuda College, the Ministry of Health. Thank you so much for getting behind this show and understanding the importance that we try to bring to our community. On that note, we're going to have the daily play, then we'll have the inspirational thought, and we'll share our final thoughts for the day before we wrap it up. Sherry, what you got for us?
What I have for you, I was really young, so it's I kind of remember it, but at one point Bermuda used the pound sterling as its official currency. Do you remember what year that ended?
79.
Pardon?
79. 78.
Here we go again. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, it was in the 70s.
Yeah, it was in
the pounds. 1973.
No, it was the later 70s. 76.
It ended in 1970.
I was close.
No, man, I said 70s. That's all. You would have probably said the 1930s or something.
You said
70. You started way up at 79. So
no, I said 79 because actually I should have known that answer. When I worked in tourism, I used to have to speak to a lot of people about that. And so when I was speaking to people, they would, they were always fascinated that we didn't, if we were a UK territory, why don't we use the pound? And I said, well, we did before I was alive and da-da-da-da-da. But I knew the year, so I deserve extra bogey points for that, not knowing. I accept responsibility. And Carla, what you said, 73?
I said 73, dear.
Oh, if this was Price is Right.
I was just going to say that. I don't like you. I was going to say, if this Price is Right, I still would have lost.
Yeah, because it's the closest without going over. So, sorry, Goddess. What you got for inspiration for the day?
I swear we have the same brain. If I go to Peace Standing Up later, I'm going to call my mama. Okay.
That's funny.
Twice today. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. John D. Rockefeller.
John D. Rockefeller. All righty. We have quite a few people saying 1972. Nana Pam got the exact date. Look at that. Hey.
Right. I was, 70. I would have been just over 6 or something like that. But I do remember the money, but I never could get, even when I visited the UK, I couldn't figure it out.
The Kathy Brumby makes, she said there were no hard questions around finances were made. I believe she's talking about last night. Well, keep in mind, folks, when people ask questions, these were younger people and they were focused on what's kind of impacting them. So, it's not always going to be the same thing. So just keep that in mind when we do that. But any final thoughts, Carla?
Yes. On our 100th anniversary, I want to give accolades to you, Jamal. We started this with just a little vision. Look where it is, the names giggling. But I also want to say this to you and Lamerne. Lamerne was very instrumental in getting me on TV in Bermuda. And now you brought me out of semi-retirement to do this. And to both of you, strong, Black, intelligent man, I tip my hat and say thank you.
Shari, what you got?
I co-signed Carla, but I want to point out something today. Both Carla and I have culturally appropriate head wraps on. And there's a young lady in Bermuda named Jana Outerbridge, who is Dr. Jana Outerbridge, who was threatened with her job if she wore a do-rag to work today. And I hope she did.
I hope she didn't, but we can talk about that tomorrow.
I saw that post. That was crazy. Well, I mean, in Bermuda too. Well, hey, I
2 steps forward, 1 step backwards.
No, I look, at the end of the day, this is still the system that we live in. So I'm not surprised by any of it. But on that,
can we talk about this tomorrow? Because I didn't say nothing. I wanted to talk about tomorrow.
Probably not, because it's an election next day. But
I know.
I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to everyone. I mean, every last person, especially the audience. Definitely want to give big, huge hugs, much love to everyone who has come on this show and been a guest and had conversations with us. To the sponsors and partners and people who were engaged with daily, who backed this show, to my team of partners and advisory board, many who give excellent responses to us and information and advice. We appreciate you. We can't thank you enough. And I have to run though, because I have to go celebrate my wife's birthday today, but 100 episodes in, it is quite something that we've been able to do it in such a short time and get it done. But we're looking forward to bringing you 500 more episodes at least. We have fun doing this. It's not easy waking up early, I'm going to tell you. It really isn't. But, as I say every day, and I mean it, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Happy birthday, Nick.
You know it.
For 100 him.
Nighttime jams tonight, baby.
Woohoo!
Thanks for tuning in to The Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House. All recorded episodes and highlights can be found at thedailyhour.com. Stay connected with us by following us at The Daily Hour on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.